Many software engineers think that starting a business is risky, but in 2026, the actual risk is gonna be working a normal software engineer 9-to-5 job. When I started my career as a software engineer, I was fired from my first job in 3 months for almost no reason. Same repeated with my second job in 3 months of me working there because they just lost their clients and I basically had no job to do. Later during the next few years, I was also fired from 2 more jobs for also no logical reason, and I'm pretty sure that those layoffs would continue for me if I would continue working as a software engineer in a normal 9-to-5 role, based on the amount of layoffs that we had in 2024 and 2025. So in this video I'm gonna give you 5 reasons why starting a business is actually not risky and it's better than working a normal 9-to-5 software engineer employee role, and why I chose this path for myself. Let's get started. The first reason is that you're actually ahead, but you're not aware of this. Because when you're working as a 9-to-5 employee, you're working for tech companies, for those guys who already need tech guys, who need to solve some technical problems, and they are aware of kind of problems they have, and they directly assign what kind of work you should do. They have managers, they had seniors, they had other guys who are deciding what exactly you're gonna do for the business, and then you do this work. And they're either selling your work to some other people, or you're building a product that they will eventually also sell to some other people. And when you're working a job like this and you are surrounded by other technical people, you don't understand that you actually have some special skills that the world actually needs. But in reality, there is thousands, millions of people who don't have any understanding of the technology, who can't build any workflows, websites, applications, and don't even know what API is. And those guys also have their own technical problems that they are not even aware of. Those can be just normal people, those can be businesses, coaches, consultants, doctors, dentists, spas, whatever. There is a ton of people who would love to improve their workflow, but they're not even aware that their workflow is bad or broken. I'm sure you've seen a ton of websites where to get some appointment you need to call people and actually book this appointment manually, and they will also reply to you manually, and then they're just gonna write it down in somewhere in the notebook. Isn't it crazy for you? I'm probably sure it is. But for them, it's a normal life and they're not aware that it can be even changed. And if there will be a person who will explain to them that this problem can actually be solved and it will eventually make them more money, or at least will help them to save their existing money, they will be willing to pay the fraction of whatever it's gonna save or make them to that person, and that person can be yourself. All you should stop doing is explaining to people that you know how to use JavaScript to build websites, but instead say that you can build functional websites to resolve the existing problem of the client using the normal non-software engineer language, and promote your own work yourself without having any middle person like your employer. And in 2026, this advantage is becoming even bigger, because almost everybody is aware that they need to move closer to this digital world and optimize their workflows, and there are solutions that can do this, but they're not just fully aware that it can be done for their specific case. So offering those solutions in 2026 is much easier than it would be like in 2015, because now many people are aware that they may have a problem, and they know that many people are already solving this problem. So it's also probably possible to solve it for them, and this is exactly what you should do. And this is why in 2026 being a software engineer is the best thing you can do, but not as an employee, but as a business. Second reason to start a business in 2026 is that you don't need to build first. You can sell first, and then you can build and fulfill all this. This is what many software engineers may disagree with me, and I would disagree with myself in the past as well, because I was the guy who always wanted to build some software and then somehow figure out how clients are gonna appear in this software, and they never did, until the point I actually started selling this idea and then actually fulfilling it. And since you already know what kind of knowledge you have and what kind of technical problem you can solve, you will feel more than comfortable to explain some non-technical person what exactly you can change and how it's gonna look like before even building it, because you're already sure that you have those technical skills, and maybe you've already done this in your own software engineer employee job hundreds of times. So there will be no problem for you to do it one more time or 100 more times. And I have a personal example from my life when I understood that actually people are able to pay for it, and those people are not too far from myself. It was the case with one of my family friends. He's running an Amazon store, he's selling glasses, and he once told me that he paid to some guys to do SEO for his website 20,000 US dollars. And as a result, it didn't even give him enough value for those $20,000. But he did it anyways because he understood that this is a problem and it should be solved. And those guys were able to sell it to him. And what's the most interesting part here is that he was building websites before himself. He was pretty much aware of how websites are built, how this technology even works. He wasn't like from the previous generation. He was around 40 or maybe 35-ish. But when it comes to guys who are even older, who are getting into this business world, or maybe they're already existing in this world for many years, they definitely have problems that they need to get the solution for. And they will be willing to invest into this as long as they see value in this, just like my friend did. And of course, I'm not saying that you should sell some nonsense to guys who don't even need it, because your business is not gonna survive for too long, but you should definitely sell solutions to the problems that actually exist and that you actually know how to solve. And let me give you an algorithm for selling before actually building. First, you need to understand if there are actually people who have this problem. You basically need to look around and see what kind of businesses there are, what problems they're having, is there any solutions that you may potentially provide. Then you need to chat with those people and verify if they're actually able to pay for it. You don't even need to do some crazy pitches. You can just ask them why they're not fixing this problem themselves and basically see if there is a potential for your business there. And once you verify this potential, then you can actually bring your code and your knowledge to actually solve this problem. And if you've solved this problem once, then there will be other clients who will also have these problems and who will also want your solution. And this is the point when you can utilize your code even more and automate your solution so that you can fulfill it much faster to any other clients that you're gonna have further. And this is when the magic of the code really comes in place. For example, instead of building a website for some clothing brand from scratch, you can just build a boilerplate that you're gonna use for all those brands whenever you're gonna offer them your solution. You can also give them an example to see what it's gonna look like, and then you can spend much less time on actually fulfilling those websites because you're gonna have them ready, and you will just need to tweak a few things and add some features that those clients may also need. And this is the reason why you shouldn't sell your services as a SaaS, because with SaaS you will be able to charge much less and it will actually be harder for you to sell this service, since your SaaS application talks kind of for itself. But for your own services, you can clearly explain what you can do, how it can benefit this person, and sell him for higher price, as well as better understand what his problem is so that you can improve your software as well. And I hope you understand this difference now, because when you're working as a software engineer, you're first doing the job and then you're getting your salary, maybe, if you don't get fired. But with business, you are allowed to charge first and then offer your solution. And only if this solution is not working, then you may need to refund those clients and give them their money back. But if you're really good with the solutions that you're providing, then you don't have to do this. And there is almost no risk for you. It's just gonna take some time. And just to clarify, when I mean start your own business, it doesn't mean that you should quit your job tomorrow and forget about a 9-to-5 employee path completely. No, you should start slowly while you're working your 9-to-5. You just separate a few hours during your week when you're gonna work on this business idea and see where exactly your solution can really fit in. And only after you already sell something and you've been doing this for a while and you already have consistent flow of clients, then you can actually leave your 9-to-5 job and going into your business completely and doing it full time. And that's exactly what I can help you to achieve. I always chat with software engineers who are looking to build their business and personal brand, and this is what I help them do. If you also want to chat with me and better understand how exactly I can help you out, make sure to connect with me on LinkedIn in the link in the description, and let me know that you are coming from this video and you want to build your own business as a software engineer. And I'll give you the exact blueprint that you can use to start your own business as a software engineer and decide on how you actually gonna utilize your skills to build a business. Reason number 3 to start a business instead of working as an employee in your 9-to-5 is that you can do what you actually love. I totally understand that you may say that I love coding, I love being a software engineer, I enjoy writing code, and it was the case for me. I also loved writing code. But besides writing code, there is also a lot of different stuff that we have to do in our 9-to-5 job as software engineers. We should go to stand-ups, we should go to some other meetings, we should write code, We should mark down how much time we spent on some tasks in Jira. We should do PR reviews, or maybe fixing some bugs that we don't want to fix, or writing test cases, or at least even commuting to the office. And those are the things that you may not love to do, and you are allowed to don't do them as long as you have your own business. Of course, in the beginning you may have to do a lot of things that you are not very satisfied with when you are starting your own business, but later on, whenever you grow, you can delegate all the things that you don't like to other people by hiring other employees, just like yourself right now. Because you're basically getting paid for doing the things that other people, other managers, seniors, and maybe CEOs don't want to do themselves. Maybe your CEO could learn how to code and actually fix some bugs or write test cases, but he doesn't want to do this. It's not worth his time, but he thinks that it's worth your time. But when you're running a business, you're allowed to actually do what you want to do and delegate other not as important things. And what is the best part here is that by doing the things that you actually love, you don't even need to worry about the retirement. You don't even need to worry about how much time you work today, as long as you're really enjoying what you do. And once you are in this happy environment, you don't care about what is your retirement number, how much money do you need to make so that you can actually go and retire and travel the world. You can do it whenever you want and spend on this as much time as you want. Of course, again, it's not gonna happen right away, but it may take some time. And as a result, you will also understand that you may not even want to retire. And your retirement number doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter for you how much you are worth, what is your net worth. Because the things that will matter to you the most is actually building your business, helping other people, and doing the things that you already love. Because this is what you started building your business with doing the things that you love. So you may not even care about all the unnecessary additional things like money and anything else that is not relevant to your existing life. Of course, you will need to make some amount of money so that you can support your lifestyle, but the business that you will actually love and that will actually solve a painful problem will always allow you to have this amount of money. And it's gonna be even more than whatever your software engineering job will allow you to get. And you will not even be so concerned about this money, because now you don't need to worry about your retirement, to worry about how much money you have in your bank account, because the things that you're gonna enjoy in the first place is your work itself. And this is the cool thing of building a business. And the emotions of actually helping other people and businesses that you can get here are not gonna be comparable with a normal software engineer employee 9 to 5 ever. And this is why I love it so much myself. And the fourth reason to build your business, which is also relevant to money and income, is that you can survive emergencies without stress. I actually wrote a post about this recently on my LinkedIn, so make sure that you are connected with me there. And what I said there is that one of the biggest reasons why I'm building my business is so that I can support my family. Because let's imagine there is a case, there is some emergency and you need to give your family some money. Let's say it's $100,000. If you're working as a software engineer, those money may just come from your savings that you should always put away separately and keep them for some emergencies. Or maybe if you don't have those money, maybe you didn't work so long as a software engineer, maybe you don't have 100K saved. Then you need to maybe get a loan, or maybe you need to create a donation page so that you can actually collect those money and support your family. And it doesn't feel so good, to be honest. And it's gonna trigger a lot of stress in your life if you actually have to experience this. I'm a person who really thinks long-term a lot, so this is why I was thinking about it myself. And I thought that I don't want to allow myself to have a situation like this. But what if you're a business owner? Here is a cool thing, because once you have your list of clients and you already help someone to solve their intermediate or beginner problem, then they will still have some other problems that you may also help them to solve, because those problems are almost never ending. If you got to $20,000 a month with your business, then you may want to get to $50,000 a month with your business. And those gaps are what your solutions can kind of help them solve. And if you have those clients, you can just build a new offer, super valuable offers that you can sell to them right away. Because again, we discussed with business, you can charge right away and then provide your solution later on at some agreed time, so that you can get your money fast whenever you need them in some emergency situation, and then actually fulfill your solution even throughout the year. And this solution may be super expensive. It may worth like 20K, and for those 20K maybe you will fly to this client's house for a week and gonna live with him until you solve his problem. And he will be able to pay you for it because he actually has this problem and he knows that you know enough information to actually solve it. And this is a huge reason for me personally, and I hope it is for you, to actually start the business instead of working a normal 9-to-5 job. And we also shouldn't forget that this amount of money may be higher than $100,000. It may be $1 million or $2 million, and it's gonna be hard to get those numbers from a normal software engineer job. And the fifth reason is that you can diversify your income. Many software engineers are pretty financially well educated, and we all know that we need to diversify our income. We need to put our money, they should work for us in different places, in different buckets, so that in case if something goes with one bucket, we are gonna be fine with some other buckets. And this is why everybody is buying S&P 500 stocks, so that in case one company collapses, other 499 are doing great. But unfortunately, we don't utilize the same logic for our job. Because when we're working for a company, we just basically have one client who is giving us money in exchange for our value. And if this client decides to not work with you, you don't have any other client anymore. And it's considered unethical to have multiple clients when you're working a 9-to-5 job. I know some software engineers do this, and I did it at some point as well, when you have multiple employers, but it's not easy to handle, it's not very ethical again, and you are still exchanging your hours for money basically, at a not very high rate as well. But when it comes to business, you are allowed to have as many clients as you can handle, and there is no limitations. This is the purpose of the business, to have multiple clients and have as many as actually possible. And a good thing about building a business as well is that you not necessarily need to have as many clients as possible. You may have just 2 or 3 or 4 clients, but instead of getting 5K from each of them, you can have 25K from each of them, as long as your value and your solution is worth to them more than whatever you are charging. It's gonna be fine. And this is the beauty of building a business, because while you're working as a software engineer, it's gonna be hard for you to get, for example, to $100,000 a month. But as a business owner, you can do it in 2 or 3 years, either by increasing the value that you get from each client or increasing the amount of clients, or ideally do both. And when you're working as a normal software engineer 9-to-5 employee, you have this ceiling both vertically and horizontally. You can't have more than one employer ethically, and you can't increase your salary higher than whatever the market is offering, unless of course you are some super crazy smart guru. But if you're a super smart guru, again, you can position yourself as a business owner and scale vertically and horizontally as well. And if we talk again about the risks of being laid off, those risks are super high. You can be laid off because now your company doesn't have any clients, or maybe because your manager decided that you should be doing testing instead of engineering, and you didn't want to do this testing, and so he fired you. It was the case in my first job. Or maybe they gave you a crazy deadline and you couldn't fulfill this deadline, and they fired you again. It was the case in my fourth job. Or maybe you just have conflicts inside the team and you can't do anything with it, so they fire you again. And it was the case in my third job. So what I want you to ask yourself now is consider how much risks are you actually taking when you're working a normal software engineer 9-to-5 job, and compare those risks with actual risk of running business. The only risk you can have when running a business is that your solution may not be good enough, nobody is gonna pay for it, or that you may not fulfill this solution good enough, so that you may need to return money to your customers. The rest is just time and effort that you need to put in to actually get those results, because if those two things are good, then it's just a matter of time and actually the numbers. Repeating the same process, getting clients, fulfilling on those clients, and never finishing this cycle ever. I hope you understand the disadvantages of working a normal 9-to-5 job, not doing 100% of the jobs that you like, working uncomfortable hours, working in an uncomfortable location, having just one source of income, and actually not being able to grow this income vertically. And if you're ready to build this business, you just need to put away 5 to 10 hours per week to actually do the actions that I mentioned in this video. And first understand if there is a solution needed and if you can actually fulfill the solution. This is two of the most important things, and this is exactly what I'm explaining in this video on how to select a perfect niche that you will be able to work on indefinitely for your entire life, that you will be actually happy doing, and that you can get paid for. And this is exactly why I'm doing whatever I'm doing right now, and I hope you could see my passion through this video. If you're really serious about starting a business in 2026, watch this.